Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a topic that is absolutely vital for your mental well-being. The 7 things you should literally always keep private. Look, we always hear sharing is caring, right? We're told that vulnerability is this magic key to connection. And yeah, that's true to a point. But psychology actually tells us that fiercely protecting your privacy is just as crucial for your emotional stability. In an era of massive oversharing, holding your cards close to your chest isn't about hiding. It's about self-protection.
So I've got to ask you, and be totally honest with yourself here, do you share too much? Because the truth is, not everything about your life needs an audience. When you spill too much to the wrong people, you aren't just letting them in, you're handing them the keys to introduce stress, toxic comparison, and a whole lot of unnecessary interference into your world. Every single detail you hand over to someone who doesn't have your back is a detail they can use to drain your focus and your confidence.
And there's a huge, massive psychological difference between being open and being exposed. Being open? That's great. It builds genuine connections. But being exposed, just leaving yourself wide open to the wrong people, that slowly, silently drains your peace. Emotionally stable people totally get this difference. They learn to build a fortress around their boundaries. They know exactly what to share, and more importantly, they know what to keep under lock and key.
The British author C.S. Lewis actually hit the nail on the head with this. He said, "We live in a world starved for solitude, silence, and privacy, and therefore we are starved for meditation and true friendship." Wow, right? It perfectly reminds us that true, deep connection actually requires us to respect our own privacy first. You really have to be a gatekeeper about who you let into your inner world.
All right, let's jump straight into the list. Number 1, your goals, your dreams, and your next big moves. Seriously, one of the most powerful flexes in life is just staying quiet about your plans until they are already happening. It is so tempting to blast out what you're going to do, but the second you announce those goals prematurely, you invite everyone else's opinions before you've even taken step 1. And honestly, the more people you share those dreams with, the less motivated you're going to be to actually achieve them.
There's a fascinating psychological reason for this. It's a concept called social interference. Basically, it's when people unconsciously root against your change because it messes with their expectations of who you are. So, when you share a massive dream, some folks will doubt you, some will criticize, and some will try to drag you down, especially if they just don't get your vision. Not everyone deserves a backstage pass to your beginning stages. Let your results do the talking, and you can chat about the process later.
Moving right along to number 2 on our list, your financial situation and your income. Listen, money is easily one of the most emotionally charged topics in human psychology. It's basically an unspoken social rule that we don't talk about money, and there's a very solid reason for that. Whether you're totally broke or absolutely rolling in it, putting your financial details out there will almost always change how people treat you.
Just think about it. If you brag about making bank, you're immediately inviting jealousy, totally unfair expectations, or this quiet, simmering resentment. On the flip side, if you're constantly complaining about being broke, you invite awkwardness or, even worse, pity. People make rapid-fire, negative assumptions the millisecond they know your financial details, and that can wreck relationships in ways you never saw coming. When it comes to your cash, financial privacy equals relational stability. Just keep it between you and your bank account.
Coming in hot at number 3, interpersonal conflicts and relationship issues. If you and your partner or a best friend are going through a rough patch, the urge to vent to everyone is incredibly strong. But listen, complaining endlessly about your significant other to outsiders is only going to paint them as the villain. Your anger, it'll pass. But the people you vented to, yeah, they probably won't be so forgiving or quick to forget.
It literally boils down to private healing versus a public mess. When you broadcast your conflicts, you take a completely solvable issue and turn it into a giant, messy public spectacle. Why? Because every single person you tell adds their own bias, their own 2 cents, and their own twisted interpretation. Suddenly, instead of just fixing the root issue with the person you love, you're doing damage control on 5 different versions of the drama. Keep it private. Heal it at the source.
Which leads perfectly into boundary number 4, family issues. We all know every single family has its drama, but dragging outsiders into the mix, that will almost always stir up way more trouble than it's worth. The stuff happening between you and your family needs to stay exactly there, between you and your family. If someone tries to go digging into your family business, it is totally okay to just change the subject or bluntly say, you know what, I'd rather keep that private.
The reason this boundary is an absolute must is that family dynamics are wildly complex. Outsiders, they rarely get the full context. They're basically just looking through a tiny keyhole at a massive picture.
Because of that, they judge the whole situation based on raw emotion rather than the actual reality of your family's history. Once your family drama becomes public knowledge, you completely lose control over the narrative. Just handle that stuff within the circle where it actually belongs.
All right, on to number 5, your deepest emotional struggles, your vulnerabilities, and your fears. Now, obviously, talking to a therapist or a trusted ride-or-die confidant is super healthy, but you really have to recognize that not everyone out there has earned the right to access your most vulnerable thoughts. Unpacking your deepest fears takes you to a really raw, sensitive place, and that is absolutely not a side of you that should be put on a billboard for just anyone walking by.
It can actually trigger a really dangerous psychological cycle. Step 1, you open up and share a deep vulnerability. But step 2 is where it goes off the rails. You overshare with the wrong crowd. A lot of people simply lack the emotional maturity to hold your pain without judging you for it. Some might just react out of pure nosy curiosity. In step 3, that curiosity mutates into gossip, it spreads like wildfire, and you end up feeling a million times worse. People might even use those fears against you. You've got to guard those vulnerabilities fiercely.
Next up is number 6, and this one is kind of a 2-for-1 deal. It covers your good deeds and secrets, both your own and the ones people trust you with. Let's tackle the good deeds first. Honestly, not everyone needs an update on who you're helping, what you're donating, or how you're supporting your community. Your actions do not suddenly lose their value just because they aren't plastered all over social media.
Here's the thing. Quiet kindness builds real, unshakable character, while public kindness, that usually just builds an image. Psychology shows that when you're always broadcasting your good deeds, your brain gets a cheap dopamine hit from the applause. And when you start chasing that applause, your deep, genuine desire to just be a helpful human being starts to weaken. Some things are just infinitely more powerful when they stay entirely between you and your own conscience.
And as for secrets, betraying someone's confidence completely destroys trust and causes so much unnecessary heartbreak. This absolutely goes for your own secrets, which two-faced people will not hesitate to use as ammo against you. But it especially applies to the secrets of others. If someone looks you in the eye and trusts you enough to share something in confidence, betraying that is just devastating. Imagine the gut punch you'd feel if someone did that to you. Keep those secrets locked down tight.
And that brings us to our 7th and final boundary, your future identity. Look, there is a massive, gaping canyon between who you are right this second and who you are actively working to become. So many people fall into this trap where they rush out and announce their future self to the world way before they've put in an ounce of the actual work. They're constantly saying, I'm going to be a millionaire, or I'm completely reinventing my life this year. But psychology tells us something absolutely crucial here. Your identity becomes stronger through action, not through early declarations. When you loudly announce this brand new version of yourself too early, you're immediately saddling yourself with a ton of emotional pressure, but you have zero actual habits or evidence to back it up yet. So don't just talk about it. Put your head down, become it first, and let the world naturally notice the change in you. Protecting your peace. Privacy is stability, not secrecy. Because keeping things private doesn't mean you're hiding away in the shadows. It means you're actively protecting your mental energy from toxic comparisons, unnecessary opinions, and all that emotional noise. Keep a tight, small circle of truly trustworthy people for the heavy stuff. But remember, not everyone deserves to read every single chapter of your story. Some parts of your life are meant to be lived quietly, nurtured in private, until they're strong enough to stand on their own. So what are you going to keep quiet today? Which of these 7 boundaries are you going to tighten up to protect your peace? Think on that, start applying it, and reclaim your emotional stability. Thanks for hanging out with me for today's explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.